Good afternoon. Wow, I don't usually make these types of videos, but we have another blockbuster trade here, second in a couple of weeks for the Raptors. Pascal Siakam, I'll talk more about this in the post-game show tonight after the Heat. We got a double bus behind me here. I'm somewhere in Europe. But yeah, Pascal Siakam for Bruce Brown. I'm still gathering my thoughts, so I'm stumbling. I'm muttering over my words. But Pascal Siakam for Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, and 3 first-round picks, and then Kira Lewis getting rerouted somehow. I'll go a little bit more into I guess stats and numbers later after the. This is just the initial reaction. I don't usually like to do trades like straight off the bat. Not really into grading and stuff, but it's hard to see how this is a good trade, in my opinion, for the Raptors. I mean, with the timing of it, I think it's pretty clear that they're going to ship Bruce Brown away, because if they weren't, you're telling me this package wouldn't be available at the trade deadline? That was my kind of initial thought. Usually there's been all this talk about like deal fatigue. The Raptors are kind of known for dragging things out and trying to get, they've obviously broken that now with the OG trade, which I was a fan of, and now this trade, which I can't say I'm a fan of this trade. I mean, they got none of Indiana's prospects. This was the whole idea around. Now maybe they saved themselves. Maybe there's a Bruce Brown trade coming that they already kind of know is in the bag, and that's a really good trade, but we don't know any of that information yet. That might come out later. But again, these are picks that are not going to be higher than probably like 17, 18. They're probably going to be in the 20s. Yes, the Raptors drafted OG and Pascal in the 20s, but I think getting the no prospects is like not even getting a Nemhard, not even getting like a, I was going to say not even a Buddy Hield, but like obviously no Matherin, no Jarris Walker. So you have to think that if Pascal was on an extended contract, that one of those prospects would have been in there. So Pascal not being extended, in my opinion, my read on the situation with no juice or sauce or anything a million miles away is that lack of an extension costs them a Ben Matherin or a Jarris Walker or someone young to be excited about. And it's just no disrespect to Jordan Nwora. I'm going to have to go look at his highlights, get a little bit familiar with his game. I mean, Bruce Brown's like a good player, obviously. Watched him in on the Nets, kind of being this weird like point guard type player. And then on Denver obviously was an important part of that. And then him going to Indiana kind of caught me off guard with his contract, but I always thought in the back of my head that he would be used as like a salary filler. And on the last game, post-game show after the game, I did talk about Jarris Walker, Ben Matherin a little bit. And although, maybe not the most 100% fit with Scotty, I guess, I don't know. I don't really understand the transaction from the Raptors' perspective unless there's some home run trade that they have lined up for Bruce Brown. Otherwise, for me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense when, again, are you telling me that this package wouldn't be available at the deadline? And hey, I don't know, maybe behind the scenes, maybe that mystery team that really wanted Bruce Brown, maybe they would have gone in for the kill and that deal would have been, I don't know. Obviously, probably people will never know, but it's weird to me that a team that has been so handcuffed, the Raptors, so handcuffed by lack of decision, and Matt Devlin's on the Raptors show right now. I had to turn it off. He was giving his like PR thing, kind of a funny guest to have on deck coming up for the segment. He started talking about Scotty's being a good draft prospect and RJ being a good draft prospect before even talking about the trade. So some Tony Robbins bullshit that I just fucking hate. But so I had to turn that off and turn this camera on, just to, provide a little bit of authenticity, a little bit, the fellas on the show were not happy. You could tell, it came live on during the show I was listening to. I was making a fattoush salad that I've paused now. Hopefully nobody steals it from me in the kitchen. I'm in Europe, of course, but yeah, just my initial, again, I'll dive more into like, not going to dive, but swim in the numbers a little bit in the post-game show later today with the Heat. But yeah, I mean, an organization like the Raptors that have been famously comically hamstrung by these long drawn out negotiations that other teams are just like pissed at them for. Like the Kings were kind of pissed, the Pacers were kind of pissed, like deal fatigue. Obviously Raptors have been in the forefront of so many trade rumors, and kind of the vibe around the league is that the reason things don't get done is because they delay. They take phone calls without really having maybe super concrete motives, or it's not really clear, and they're just trying to observe the landscape. And you're telling me that after all this time, after all these rumors, after all these talks, after all this deal fatigue with all these organizations, that this was, and I understand it's an expiring contract, but I guess I didn't understand. I didn't realize how low the value was, I guess, on that. And like, Pascal's never been my favorite player. I'm not like a diehard Pascal guy. I think I've made like 12 Pascal Raptor Moment Supercut incoming. I think I made like 12 or 15 videos about him. But I didn't realize I didn't know it was this bad, I guess. I didn't know that his value would be this low. Even on an expiring contract, because you've got these small market teams, say in Indiana, a Sacramento, where players typically aren't lining up to sign there, and so you would think from one of these small market teams that getting him in the door early like that would have would be valued at something. And not that 3 first round picks are nothing, but I mean, they got less. Basically, in my opinion, they got less than they got for OG, who was also on an expiring. So I've kind of proposed in the past, like, I hope Masai isn't like afraid of making a trade, because he's like too afraid of being fleeced, being on the other end of a Bargnani type trade. And obviously it's going to matter like what the draft picks pan out to, or what they later, if they do later ship off Bruce Brown somewhere, what the return is going to be on that. But initial reaction, other than Matt Devlin, I'm not seeing anybody who's like excited about this. From the brief look online, if you're the Pacers, I mean, congratulations. I don't think usually, Masai is not really like, this felt like more of a, like, not, kind of like a desperate trade. This is kind of trades that like, this is like a trade like the Wizards would make or something. This doesn't feel like your typical Masai and Bobby at the negotiating table just driving the other party completely insane and wearing them down to a pulp, which has kind of been their brand, has kind of been their negotiation style, and for teams all across the league, I mean, obviously we'll probably never know what other packages were on the table, if they were on the table, but you have to think that this deal would have been available in a few weeks when the trade deadline happened. So that makes me think that they're going to ship. They wanted to trade Bruce Brown before the deadline, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't think he's a bad fit. You got Scotty guarding Jason Tatum for 48 minutes a game. So he's a good defender on that end, has like length, could probably take some of those assignments, but in general, I don't know. It's just with the way that this shook out, with the timing of it, it makes me think that he's probably like not in the cards, or else he would have waited until the final hour, which is like, I guess, becoming less sexy of a thing now. In general, we're seeing 2 Raptors trades now that were obviously outside of that window. With the way, it's really ironic because everybody's been complaining about the Raptors just like dragging out these decisions, and now you've got two just like bang out of kind of out of nowhere just hit you, making moves before anybody else did. I mean, outside of, respect to Marvin Bagley, but putting your foot in the ring before anybody else has kind of been the opposite of what the Raptors have done in the past. So this is just weird. It's weird to me. I don't like it. I'm in Europe. It's the middle of the night. I stopped making lunch because of this. I mean dinner. What are people in the chat saying? Andre says the picks coming to fruition will tell the real story. Logical Raptor fanatic. When Detroit cleared the space, Masai had to take the best deal on the table. What do people think of this trade? Let me know. What does Jason Pooh think? He thinks, can they trade Bruce? I mean, obviously you can trade Bruce. A lot of people saying the Pacers won this trade. The picks are going to be late. They're going to draft 3 more Grady's. A176 has a message to the nephews, which you always want to be talking to the nephews. That's really important when you're like in sports discussions. You want to cater your arguments and your messages to the nephews. These are the most important people in the world. So A176 says, nephews, Wa Masai is washed for no first-round picks. Also nephews, Wa Masai is washed for 3 first-round picks. Incredible contribution to the discourse. Infamous, this fan base is so casual. Now everyone is expert on these players. Quilty experiences Will Lewis similarly melting down. If this is considered a meltdown, I hope none of you meet me in real life. Holy fuck. Wow. So yeah, but basically in the chat, Jimmy Pope says I don't like the package. 2 picks for this year. Chad B has to trade now because Pascal quit on defense. More trades will happen. Yada yada yada. Yeah, I guess this was a meltdown. I blame kind of hunger, I guess. Maybe not enough wheat oil this morning. Too much coffee, off balance. Not enough sleep. Middle of the night in Europe, having a meltdown. Please do not ever meet me in real life. Don't ever, when I move to Toronto, don't ever come to an event, because you will see way more. Like this is really only the G-rated version. I don't actually really care about this stuff. Lurk Squad says the Pacers are giving up almost nothing. Well, I mean, for them in their position, they've got a shitload of young players. Their team is moving towards, or obviously they're already at, like the Halliburton, timeline. Pascal's an incredible fit there. They didn't give up any of their young assets. So, yeah, for them, I think it's like a massive W, because you're making the team that you have now so much better. You're not giving away your young talent. It just makes sense with where you're at. And with the Raptors, it's just kind of confusing because, you got these 2 guys in Barron Quickly in the Knicks trade that are like guys ready to play, and the reports were out that the Raptors wanted young players. But again, as I said before, the caveat to all this is maybe there's some crazy, maybe they're going to trade Bruce Brown for like Shea or something, People aren't going to know that's a joke, and I'm going to get grilled in the fucking chat by someone named like Matthew 1919 or something. Lurk Squad, can't imagine Pacers throwing all this for Siakam unless he changes his mind about testing free agency. Yeah, there was that report. Shams, who should only ever be consumed via text, not video or voice. He had a thing with Sam Amick. Talking about this, how Pacers have had conversations with Pascal over this, that they're confident they can sign him in free agency, or sign him in whatever agency. Which, I don't know, doesn't that even make Indiana's situation more, not dire, but like more willingness to get it done? Because if you can't get him now, then do you think that you could get him in the offseason? So that's again why I don't really understand this deal. Sorry for the meltdown, everybody. Jason Pooh, I thought that they were going to trade Chris or Trent before this. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen now with the rest. Gary, for example, the three ball has been coming around a little bit better for him, and the Raptors are not exactly deep at the shooting guard position. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's blown anybody away this year, but this team also, I mean, they are rebalanced a little bit now. Maybe that's a little talking point about how they can't shoot, but yeah, that's kind of my initial reaction. Again, we'll talk more about this on the post game show. Got a little bus behind me here. Maybe during my meltdown, I'll go get hit by a double decker bus. Then that would be a meltdown. That would definitely be a meltdown. Yeah, gotta go next. A176 is saying things like y'all, so I guess we've reached the American audience. It's cool. I'm always a big fan of the algorithm, pushing this stuff out to the new viewers. So that's cool. People already hate losing. I wonder what will happen to them now that the Raptors are in full rebuild. Says Limuel. There's different losing though, like in my opinion. I mean, we had the basketball maven famously come in the chat earlier this year and talk about this kind of topic about how you can't control where your shot hits on the rim. It's out of your control. So there's, I guess, for the discussion, there's no point in even talking about it. And I know a lot of people in the chat will come in after a post-game show and they'll say, a win is a win or a loss is a loss. And I guess that's kind of, like when you go out and you shoot, like when you go shoot threes, say you shoot 900 threes from the exact same spot on the floor. I guess it's fair to say then, like, there's no point in analyzing your misses. There's no point in being like, okay, there wasn't as much tricep on that one. Okay, I need to get into my legs more. I need to get my hip better lined up. There's no point in doing that because a miss is a miss and a win is a win and a loss is a loss and blah, blah, blah. I guess I just have like a different opinion on that. I think there's different styles of losing. I think people who have followed other teams, other sports, they kind of understand that. I think there's a lot of people in the Raptors fan base who have never followed a losing team before and have never followed a sports team outside of the Raptors. They have never had an emerging star like Scotty Barnes before. They don't know how to handle this. They don't act like they've ever been here before. And as someone who grew up, tragically as a Canucks fan, I've kind of seen everything. I've seen every kind of bullshit, fake rebuild, real fucking rebuild, Maybe I'm having a meltdown. And I'm not even a big Pascal Siakam guy. Like, I'm not a Pascal Siakam propagandist. Aesthetically, not the biggest treat sometimes. Do like the soccer footwork. But I'm also not really, like, sentimental. Like, I don't have any, like, oh, I'm going to miss him. Like, I don't really process, stuff like that. I don't really think like that, unfortunately, probably, that's more of a therapy discussion, but I'm not like emotionally attached to any of these fucking players. Like, it's just more, who's more entertaining to watch, who can win, blah, blah, blah. And for the losing is losing people, I mean, I guess it's the same thing to me as a miss is a miss when you're shooting. So you can either look at it, observe it, try to get better at it, or just be like, oh, I missed it. Or I smashed it I did a Fred VanVleet pull-up 3 and smashed it on the bottom left corner of the backboard. That's the same as like a Jonas Porter toilet bowl out. So I think with losing, if you are acquiring draft capital and young players, it's a lot more understandable to be losing than if you're built with a team that is kind of, quote unquote, win now, star or almost star players on big contracts. With the team losing, that's in my opinion, a much harder thing to stomach than watching a team that, and I mean, obviously there's laws diminishing returns. Pistons are a good example. You don't want to go that far off the deep end, but I think in general, when you've got young I can't believe I'm even having this fucking discussion. This is so boring. Some of you guys in the chat are really fucking boring, I'm not gonna lie. Jason Poo, this is now the Jonas Porter and Marquise Noel era. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think Marquise has more All-Star votes than Scotty, so that's kind of depressing. But yeah, he's been putting up good numbers in the G League. Driving on the left side. Where am I in Europe? Am I in the UK somewhere maybe? I mean, who does this really open up minutes for on the Raptors now? I mean, I guess if Bruce Brown's going to be there, he's going to take a lot of Siakam's minutes, but I don't really. So and obviously if they trade him, but I don't know who else on the team this kind of gives an opportunity to. I just kind of see it as like a bit of a hole now. I mean, does Scotty slide into the 4 kind of naturally? How does this change his role on the team? I thought for a while there, Pascal and Scotty were kind of playing well off each other, having simultaneously productive games with not too much overlap. Like they both were kind of finding their spots on the floor. That has maybe fallen off a little bit. Obviously, Siakam's defense has fallen off a little bit. We saw OG kind of defense fall off a little bit before the trade, and Pascal kind of same thing. So that's also kind of weird, to be honest, that both of them kind of did that. But I'm having a meltdown, so that's what I'm talking about. But I think that's pretty much it. Again, on the post game show, I'll look up Jordan Noir's true shooting percentage and field goal percentage from 10 to 16 feet, and then I will blow all of that out of proportion and talk about how they would potentially fit, Bruce Brown, Kira Lewis, who's also just randomly kind of thrown into this. Does anybody know, just off the bat, or the Raptors looking at Kira Lewis in the draft? Because that's just kind of a really random name. Kawasaki. At least the Raptors didn't let him walk for nothing like Fred. Here's an interesting thought. This is really just, this is like pass the bong type talk, but like, as is everything on this channel. But you do kind of wonder if the Fred situation hadn't happened, maybe they maybe they don't have this, oh shit. Because with Fred, it was like, oh yeah, worst case scenario, we can sign and trade him. Let's wait it out. And then, we saw what happened. And so maybe that caused the front office, I'm just spitballing here, but maybe that caused the front office, at least was a bit of a warning of like, no, fuck, like you can't, let this happen a second time. But again, we're 3 weeks out, 2.5, 3 weeks out from the trade deadline. As I said off the top, I don't see how this deal isn't available at the trade deadline. And unless the Bruce Brown thing, which that has me thinking that there is something with Bruce Brown being moved. Otherwise, the timing on this doesn't make a ton of sense. I don't think the fit is like horrible, so who knows? Maybe it is, but yeah, it's definitely underwhelming. Devlin liked it. I'm not seeing anybody in the chat really like it. I'm just seeing people saying like y'all and stuff. The Kaiser says you don't need to give him a super max, just a regular max would have been good. Yeah, and I mean, we don't know what was talked about specifically, but I mean, you got to think that Siakam on an extended deal easily would have netted them one of those prospects. You would hope. And again, I didn't know that the value was this low. And also for the guy saying y'all, I don't know if they understand that draft picks are not created equally. There's different protections on them. This is an Indiana team with an upwards trajectory. You got Halliburton, you got Siakam. It's a great fit. You got a great core. I don't really see this team being anywhere, around. Even the 15 would be like a huge plus, getting the 15th overall pick. These are probably going to be in the 20s. And I did say off the top that, like, yeah, sure, OG and Pascal were taken in the 20s, but, so was Malachi, Precious almost. I don't know. You have to be, I guess if that's your angle, I forget who said it, 176 or something. Is that like an area code? Yeah, if that's your angle, then why didn't Masai and Bobby just get a bunch of picks for OG? Like if the picks in the 20s are so sexy, why is this kind of the first deal involving picks in the 20s for any of these players? Like, it just seems random to me. It doesn't seem but yeah, that's my initial reaction. But I kind of hate that I'm even making this content, because like this is but these trades don't happen that often. We've got two of them now in the past few weeks. So these days I'm watching the Sudbury 5 deep cut. I don't know what that is. I'm watching Better Call Saul. I watched it a while ago, but it was right after Breaking Bad. It just didn't quite hit for me. But now I'm fully in a Mike Ehrman show. I'm in my Mike Ehrman show mode. Look, at the end of the day, you're gonna have your players, you're gonna have your guys, you're gonna have Bruce. At the end of the day, Walter, a trade is a trade. That almost sounded. The Kaiser says, I hate this so fucking much. Going to annoying Raptors, blah, blah, blah. Sudbury 5 is a local semi-pro. Yeah, I've only been to Toronto once in my life. It was for 3 days on a flight layover, so I need to get more Toronto knowledge, I guess. But yeah, so that's just my initial reaction. We'll get more into it. Yeah. Sorry if this sucked. I'm gonna go eat and then get hit by a bus to